What's up, everybody? I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host, Heather C. So I Love a Mama's Boy, Season 3, Episode 3 has aired. First things first, Trey and Lorinda took the week off, so we will have to wait and see what is going on with them and their TikTok dance videos next week. So I do want to check in with Emily and Shakib. So Emily has tried to make amends with Layla. If you remember on the last episode of the last season, Emily went to Shakib's mother, Layla's house, and she wreaked havoc on her flower bed. She threw flowers everywhere at the house, at the window, over the side railing. She brought a peace offering of a rack full of flowers, which is only fair, right? To replace what you did. And Layla was having none of it. She's not ready to talk. She's not ready to forgive her. She's not ready to make amends. And she did take the flowers eventually. But I mean, how would you feel if someone did something like that to you? Would you forgive them? How would you react to that?
I think that there would have to be a lot of healing. I mean, she did play the bigger person role. You know, she did say eventually she did come around and listen to her. But Emily was wrong. I mean, for a long time. The way that she came into her house and she insulted everything and she was ruining her property and she disrespected the ring that they picked out and stuff. It's just, it takes a lot to get over that. And I think that Layla was the bigger person. She was. She just told her, she's like, you know what? I'm not ready to talk. And that's fair. You know, you can't judge a person and how long it's going to take them to heal. So she heard her out. She listened to her apology and whatever. And when she's ready, if she's ever ready, she'll come around.
So what do you think about when Layla visited Shakib and Emily's place and he wanted her to bless it? And apparently Shakib's brother had a blessing of his place and it involved a party and candles and reading of scriptures. And when she blessed Shakib and Emily's place, she just said, "Oh, bless this place." And there was no ceremonial, way of doing it. And he felt like he got the cold shoulder and he didn't get the full experience. Do you feel like it's because it's Emily's house? I mean, I know Layla said that I don't feel like this is the place for you because Emily is here. But do you think that she should have at least gave him the same type of blessing that his brother got, even if she doesn't agree with who his girlfriend is?
No, because I feel like if you're asking somebody for their blessing, you're giving the person the opportunity to do it or not.
Okay.
So if you're saying, I want you to give me your blessing or I want your permission, you're asking.
Mm-hmm.
So just like with any question, you're allowed to say no. So in Shakib's situation, he shouldn't have been so surprised that his mom feels so strongly the way she does. It's not that she doesn't love him. We all know that she loves Shakib very much. She says it all the time. She doesn't like the fact that she feels that Emily is not the one. She probably has a decent or a good relationship with Shakib's brothers and wife, whatever. And she probably feels differently. But I would think that to ask somebody to do something, knowing how they feel, it wouldn't be authentic.
Yeah.
Because you're asking her to do something, so it'd be fake. So it wouldn't even be a true blessing because you know how she truly feels about it.
So about 15 minutes after Layla arrived at the apartment, Emily decided to crash the visit. And she's kind of trying to, like I said, jumpstart their relationship and starting over. And she offered her hospitality, invited her over, said she's welcomed at any time. And Layla almost cracked a little bit of friendliness at that point. So I feel like Layla can be worn down. She didn't want to just sit there and ignore her existence. She wanted to at least be a little hospitable. And she did say, "Thank you, your place is good." And extra was not coming out of her mouth, but she did give her the opportunity to acknowledge her. So, but we do know that Yusra is the woman that Layla believes Shakib should be with. So whether or not there will be more of Yusra we will have to keep seeing, because we know at some point Shakib is going to actually introduce Emily to Yusra And I'm not exactly sure why. So we're going to have to watch and see how that plays out.
They always say mother knows best. So I personally have seen a lot of red flags from Emily just by watching her on TV. So, I'm sure that Layla knows stuff that we don't. So maybe Shakib should just open his eyes and see what his mom is seeing. And maybe the other girl could be the one.
Speaking of mothers knowing best, let's talk about Robert and Christy and Nancy. So Christy goes on a girls' night with her sister-in-law and her sister, Leslie and Bridget. And she breaks to them the news that Nancy has requested a paternity test. And they reacted the way we would react, in shock and disbelief, and kind of appalled at the level of disrespect. Nancy shows up at Christy's house, right, after the girls' night, and she's supposed to be meeting Roberto for a lunch date on his lunch break, and he's not there yet. And Christy decided not to confront her about the paternity test situation because she felt like it would be better if Roberto was there to mediate the situation. So, how do you feel about the fact that Roberto is still going through with the DNA test? Okay, I have another thing to input here too. So you know how DNA test works. Chrissy doesn't have to be involved. They could, because it's going to be a swab from Roberto and a swab from their daughter Kimberly. Bringing it to her attention, I think, is the most disrespectful part, because if Nancy really wanted to do this, Christy doesn't have to know. That's how you know that this situation is being done out of negativity and hate, right? Because if she really felt that way, she has her son Roberto over her house all the time. She could swab a spoon or a fork. She could swab her granddaughter, and no one would ever know about this. So I know that this situation is there to bring negativity into the relationship.
I really hate this situation because even though Nancy is trying to hurt Christy, I think that the only person she's hurting is Kimberly. I mean, I've never seen where a grandmother would deny their own. Right. And I think that's what bothers me the most. Like, you say that you love your family, you love your son, but you're questioning your grandchild. And I understand that she doesn't care for Christy, but can we just give her all the props in the world? Because not only is she constantly disrespected by his mother, but he's not even standing his ground for her either. And I understand he's a mama's boy. That's the concept of this show. And I understand that he, loves his mom and wants her approval. But you also love her. You also took the vow to love her. You decided to have children with her. So at what point is she going to matter? At what point is her feelings going to matter? Mom is going to love you regardless. But she doesn't have to stay with you. And I think that people overlook that situation. They take people for granted. They only worry about themselves. I'm upset. Why is my mom putting me in this situation? Why is, Christy just not doing this so we can, make my mom happy? Why does everybody have to cater to your feelings when other people's feelings are getting hurt? And it's probably a blessing that the child doesn't know, because could you imagine how that child would feel? My own grandma doesn't even, think that I'm part of the family like that. I hate that they even put that on TV, because once it's on TV, it doesn't go away. Yeah. So I really hope that they make it up to this child, because that's the sad part.
Well, he says that he likes to keep the peace, but there's no peace. His mom isn't happy. His wife isn't happy. I'm trying to understand what peace Robert is keeping in this situation, because I feel like keeping the peace would be him saying, I believe this is my daughter. That's the end of this conversation. Never bring it up to his wife. Bring it up to his wife is definitely not keeping any peace in this situation. So that's it for part one. We're going to come back with part two and talk about Kelly and Brittany meeting for the first time. And we finally met the next mother and son duo, Esther and Ethan, and there's a lot to talk about. So we're going to definitely be talking about that for a while. Thanks for joining us, guys. I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host, Heather C. See, I Love a Mama's Boy podcast, season 3, episode 3. We'll talk to you all really soon.